Good morning. I actually meant to do this earlier when the sun wasn't like beating down on my face, but you know, kids have to be fed, animals have to be taken care of, laundry has to be done. So we've been inside doing that. I'm watching my cat and my bunny interact over here, which is really funny. Anyway, it's a Saturday morning, so I thought it might be a good day to do a little tour of the garden, show you some things. If you follow the Rooted Garden or the Rooted Jardin on Instagram, you've probably seen some of my reels from this past week showing some of the things that are going on in the flower garden. And this morning with our new harvest of peas and strawberries and kale and lettuce and all kinds of fun things. So the season is upon us and it's so much fun. And even though it's exhausting, I still find so much joy in being out here and just being in the garden. So let's go take a look. Oh, Leroy, what are you doing? Did you run away from that rabbit? I know, you're just not so sure, are you? First, I thought I would actually show you the porch garden. You had these stakes are here because I don't know if you remember, but I had fencing around this because of the chickens. And we have established a permanent run for the chickens over there, which I'll show you in a minute. So I can now finally release my garden from their cages. And now I can enjoy it so much more because the grass was just getting all tangled up in the fencing and you could hardly see the flowers. So one of the things I did this morning after I weeded and pruned. Oh, look, she's going after the cat. Watch. Nature at its best right here, people. Let's see what happens. Oh, nope. Anywho, as I came out here and I took all this fencing off, I am not strong enough, or maybe I just don't have, I don't know, enough about me to pull the stakes out right now. That's going to be my husband's job. But we've got catmint over here. And I just love catmint. It's such a beautiful filler and the bees love it. And my daisy is getting ready to emerge. My white Becky daisies here. And some savanna grasses, which I had originally planted for the chickens, but now will just be some pretty filler. And a poppy, an orange California poppy. Some sedum down in there. And then this, all in here, are different wildflowers that I had planted. So I'm excited to see how they swing. And here's the other side of the porch. Same sort of pattern. There's just a few more plants in here. I've got the savanna grasses, some poppy that's gonna emerge here soon. These are all wildflowers from the Wildflower pack that I planted. So I'm kind of curious to see what those will look like. Some salvia here and here, more wildflowers, savanna grasses. This is a purple mountain grass that I planted last year that finally has come up. Oh, see, aren't these little wildflowers so pretty? I just love them. This is some more catmint, and I've got Russian sage in here, right here and here. So that should be blooming soon, and the Becky daisy, and now my hibiscus is getting lovely and huge. So I took all this fencing down. You can see all my stakes, and now there's just this really pretty border here around our back porch. I've got some herbs and some annuals in my pots there, but I just love this. Hello to Kenley. She gets to clean the chicken run every day.
Spider!
Really? Yeah, girls, I know.
Get the spider.
Kenley. Downplay the drama, girl. Downplay it. So the chicken run, here it is. I better go find where my bunny went. And this is the permanent run we've established for them. And there's a couple reasons for this. Right now, one is because our neighbor's fence is down. We don't need them going in there. Number two, my husband is not exactly enjoying chicken poop all over the yard. So we're gonna keep him in here for most of the time and let them out here and there to range. But they have a substantial amount of room all the way over here, and then their indoor run, and of course their coop. And I have planted a bunch of different ornamental grasses out here. I actually had these inside their run, and mistakenly, I don't know why I thought I could get away with that, because they just munched them down to a nub. So, and then I had to come and move them out. So those are now out here, but those will grow and be really pretty, and it provides some shade for them and some interest. Now into the garden. My friend came over and we potted these annuals and sweet potato vines the other day. I initially wanted to plant them along the fence line here, not necessarily in a pot, but I was just too worried my dog was going to dig them up, because he goes crazy with the moles right in this section. So to make it easy, we just opted to put them in here, and as they get big, they'll provide some really pretty interest, and these hanging baskets here as well before you go in the garden. Here's Pepper over here, going to the extreme edges of the yard. Oh, an egg. Huh. I wonder if that's a chicken egg. Well, that's interesting. I wonder, huh. Anyway, our barren corner of the yard. Hey girl, where you going? This is where the chickens love to come and dust bathe and hang out in the cool shade during the day. But now I've got to get a bunny out of there. And of course, Leroy is not too far behind. I see you. So here we are, entering the garden, trying to give you like an overhead view of what it's looking like right now. It's really filling out, which is super fun. So let's go see what's happening. I want to show you all something. Right here on my borage plant, this white foamy stuff is actually signs of immature aphids getting ready to start. I learned this, and I'm seeing them down the pike here. So this tells me I want to get out here with some water and spray them off. But if you see foam on your plants like that, the foam is not going to hurt your plants, but it is a sign that you need to start looking for pest damage. Woo! Oops. Okay, so here is kind of what has been my greens little area. I've got butter crunch lettuce in here and some radishes. My shadow's in the way. Some butter crunch lettuces, radishes that have already bolted, some lettuce that has already bolted. I've considered coming out and sowing some more lettuce seed, but I think I'm going to wait till these tomatillas get a little bigger and provide some more shade before I do that, so they won't bolt so quickly. Because I already have several cilantro plants that are bolting. It's because it's just already gotten that hot. Thankfully, there's my parsley and my little sunflower my son grew. So I went ahead and planted some tomatoes in here, a tomato, a tomatilla, and a bell pepper right there to start filling this in once these greens start phasing out. And then we've got some peas growing along the fence line here, and sunflowers and aster, more peas that are finally starting to flower and take off, a determinate tomato, it won't get too big. And my squash plants are finally, gosh, my shadow is in the wrong spot. My squash plants are finally starting to come to fruition. So we will be having some large squash plants here soon. And all these other little green things that you see in here are flower seedlings that I've planted, all different kinds of zinnias and bachelor buttons, and I'm forgetting, there's some zinnias, cosmos, cosmos, and over here nasturtium. I love nasturtium seedlings. I think they're so cute, their little leaves. So I've got some really pretty nasturtiums planted in here as well. And here's another patty pan squash. And then we go down the road to the hollyhocks, which I have all along here, and more flower seedlings, lots of them. There's also some tree seedlings in here. So once they sprout their first leaves, I can finally come and pick them out, because sometimes I'm not sure which is which, but this is a tree. So I'll have to come out here and do some thinning. Here's the squash. This one's really taken off. And one over here. Here's the cosmos starting to come in there, and some zinnias back in there. And over here, more flowers with more, these are the bigger squash. These are the golden zucchinis, artichoke. We'll see how artichoke does this year in this garden, and more squash. And then we're to tomato row, which I came out and interplanted some marigolds out here the other day that I had left over. I got for like $1 at the store on the clearance rack. And then of course, peppers in the back, basil in the middle, and daisies in the front, all the way around. So I can't wait for all that to start filling in. And of course my herbs and my rhubarb. This cherry tomato right here is gonna be the all-star. I mean, she is huge. She's bigger than all the other plants and is not too far from hitting the trellis here. So I'll be staking her pretty soon. But other than that, they all look really good. Some are smaller than others. The borage looks pretty. This is gonna be a really pretty border. I wasn't really sure how this was gonna turn out, but I actually think it's gonna be a really pretty border of blue, and the bees are gonna love it right here. And all of this just volunteered on its own from last year's plants. And then here is potato row. And just this morning, after I removed the fence from the flower garden, I came over and put this fence around the potatoes because they're getting really tall, and I'm gonna have to start hilling them even more than I already have. And the dirt is just gonna wanna fall out into the walkway. So I put this fence in here. It's not quite secured yet, but hopefully it will hold in some of the dirt that I will use to build in around all these plants, because you really want to cover most of their stems, even up to here, with dirt, which is why people use tires and bags for potatoes, because it helps to contain it. So I've got to come out here on a day I've got a lot of energy and start building these up with dirt. And we've been harvesting lots of strawberries already, and there's definitely more to come. So that's been fun for the kids and I to come out here and get our morning strawberry fix. They're so sweet, of course. And I'm just ready for the cucumbers that I planted in here to finally get going. They've been slow this year. Just have not been wanting to take off. Oh shoot, I think I did. Gotta be careful. I just knocked that off. And then my lovely dill is looking gorgeous, and it smells so good when you come out here and brush it. It's just such a pretty plant. So I came out and harvested off of these this morning and pruned off the yellow leaves. And there's a lot of new growth in here. And I'm not sure, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if dill bolts or not in the heat. I think this is just all new growth down here, which is fun. So I really need to start coming up with more dishes to use with this, which really a lot of Mediterranean meals use dill. I've just been so tired that cooking has not really been in the forefront of my mind, but I need to come up with some simple salads or sauces to do so I can use my dill. And then of course I have all this kale. So we've been harvesting kale and putting it in smoothies while it's still tender like this, and giving it to the bunny rabbit and eventually sauteing it as it gets a little bigger. But so this guy's looking a little wilty, probably needs some more water. And then of course beets all along here that are really starting to take off. And I came and planted some marigolds out here to kind of build in some color and some shade. And there's a couple tomato plants that have actually volunteered from last year, and I may let them grow. I may cut them off at the top so they don't get real tall, but I think they might provide some shade for some of this kale, and then I can decide later if I want to plant something else. And then the beans are finally really starting to show themselves, and they'll be taking off soon real quick and taking up on this trellis. So I've got beans that'll come up here and some morning glories, and then I planted this extra tomato plant right here because there's nothing planted in this area. So this tomato plant I'm actually going to trellis up here with all the beans, which I think will be interesting. And it was an extra one that I had, so we'll see what happens with that. More beans over here. And of course this garlic, which I'm starting to wonder, is starting to produce its scapes. These are the scapes. They'll start to curl here soon. And when they do, that's when you want to cut these off, and you can actually cook with them. They have a really nice garlic flavor. You want to cook them when they're young, because if you wait too long, they'll get too tough. But see how this one over here is starting to curl like this? I'm going to come out and cut those off, and we can use them for cooking. But that is a sign that the garlic is coming to a close, and we'll be able to harvest it here in the next month or so. I'm not sure what's going to end up happening with this bed, because I've got pansies planted on the outside, which I love. These really pretty blue celestial pansies. And then I've got garlic, obviously, on these rows that'll be harvested in a month. And then in the middle, I've got onions that are going. So they will start to take shape. And they're a long day onion, which is good for Michigan, which is long day, short season. So those will start to look like these here in the next month or so. And I've got Swiss chard, and over here, a mixture of Swiss chard that'll grow in and get tall. And then here, I've got lettuce planted. And so my carrots didn't really take like I wanted them to. I have 2 carrots right there. And I've got more onions on this side. So this will be kind of a random bed that I could probably interplant some things if I wanted to later in the season. If I want to start my cooler weather plants again in here, I can do that. And I'm just hoping that all of these Brassicas in here, which are looking really big and beautiful, don't bolt on me. They've got afternoon shade from the chicken run here, which gives them, you know, it's good for them since they don't really like the heat. And I've also got the garlic and the mint in here, which is providing some shade and a break from the heat. So hopefully these won't bolt, and I can actually get something out of them, but they are looking really good. And I wish these peas would get going. The dang chickens pecked off their leaves, so they're struggling a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. So I actually put a fence within a fence over here. I have these plants that I put in the chicken run for some interest for them, and of course they ate them down to a nub. So yesterday I got in there and I put up this little mini fence to keep them away from those plants, and also to keep them away from these peas that they were pecking through the fence, because I was really hoping that I would have a wall of peas here and sunflowers to provide some shade for these Brassicas. So hopefully those will take off soon. The sunflowers are definitely starting to show their faces. And then I've got some marigolds in here, some nasturtium. There's some more peas that I need to come out here and put my twine around this teepee so they can take hold. And I just keep forgetting. I come in here and I see them, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to give you guys something to grow on, because they don't really want to grab a hold of this big branch. They rather wrap their tentacles around something small. So I just need to cover this with some twine.
See the rabbits in the garden?
I don't know. Can you not find her? Well, this is hours later, and now it's even brighter out here, but the bunny got lost. My daughter took her eyes off of her for 2 seconds and she was gone. And of course she went into the neighbor's yard over there, whose fence is down, who has all kinds of hiding places. So the 4 kids and I spent, I don't even know how long, trying to get the bunny out from underneath their pool deck. My son had to, the saint, had to crawl under their pool deck in there, all around and who knows what, and finally caught her, because we were about to give up and just think, goodbye bunny. But anyway, we got her. So that tour, or this tour, got cut short. But really that's it. I mean, that's it for the garden out here. Behind me, the only thing I didn't show you is just a bunch of sunflowers and peas that we harvested from this morning, and I filled in with some marigolds and onions. It's kind of random. I've just kind of been interplanting with whatever extra things I have. I don't know, I've kind of been experimenting this year with how I put things together. I'll show you real quick and then that'll be it. So I ended my Brassicas in here, and I've got the peas that this group of peas has finally started to to fruit. So we pulled some bigger ones off. I've got sunflowers, the sunflowers all down in here, which I'm really excited for those too, to get big and beautiful. And then I just brought in some tomato plants that I had like extras of. And so I planted those in here. I had tomatoes in here last year, and I can just stake them to this. And a beautiful radish plant that bolted, but I love the flowers on these radish plants. They're so pretty. And after the flowers are done, they'll produce these little pods that you can eat that taste like a radish. But my kids and I love them. So I love letting a few radishes go to seed. And then all this garlic that volunteered from last year, not garlic, cilantro. This is all cilantro that volunteered in the pathway. And it is actually doing much better than the cilantro that I either bought at the store or grew inside, which is already bolted. So I'm going to collect some seeds from that and then pull it out. And then the rest of this is just peas and sunflowers. So, and a borage plant. So that's really it. It looks beautiful. You hear my neighbors yelling. It's just fun to watch what changes every single day. And I'm excited to see this garden over here really start to take shape with the flowers and the peppers and everything that's going to happen over there. So happy Saturday to you. I hope you have a wonderful time hanging out in your garden, and we'll check in soon.